Joseph Cheng, who joins us from Sydney. Good to have you on the program with us. Are you surprised by this decision, or is this expected, coming just off Beijing barring those 12 opposition candidates from running?
This was, to a large extent, expected. The pro-democracy movement earlier anticipated that it might have a chance to secure a majority in the coming Legislative Council elections, despite the less than democratic electoral system. So it was broadly anticipated that delaying the elections by 1 year was one of the potential tricks adopted by the Carrie Lam administration to avoid that kind of scenario. This appeared to be most unreasonable because only yesterday the government moved to disqualify 12 of the popular candidates from the opposition camp. So on one hand, it moved to disqualify the candidates, and on the very next day, it announced the postponement of the elections.
So there's concern the pandemic is just a pretext for suppressing democracy. Do you feel that that is not true, then, that it is in fact because of the outbreak of coronavirus that this has happened?
Yes, this is the general impression. There is also a varying conspiracy theory because, as just explained, 4 of the disqualified candidates are actually incumbent legislative councillors from the pro-democracy movement. So if they are disqualified, they may not be able to return to the legislature, even if the incumbent legislature may be allowed to sit for another year. Under such circumstances, the opposition may not have even 1/3 of the seats, which it now enjoys, to block any constitutional amendments. So with the vast majority enjoyed by the establishment camp, it may, in the coming year, choose to introduce constitutional changes to the further disadvantage of the opposition movement. And this is certainly one of the worries, one of the conspiracy theories feared by the opposition movement. The latter actually is in a very difficult situation, and many radicals within the movement may believe that it is no longer possible, it is no longer worthwhile to engage in legitimate opposition political activities, and this is certainly a very dangerous line of development.
So that's one of the big questions and concerns when this announcement was made. What happens as far as legal terms to the council over the next 12 months, and specifically those lawmakers who are already on the council who now have been barred from serving another term or seeking another term? Do they continue to be on the Legislative Council, or do we just not know what happens?
We don't know, because according to what is said, what was said in the press conference, the government would like to have a decision from the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress in Beijing, which meets once every 2 months. And the arrangement, the potential extension of the incumbent legislature, plus the status of the disqualified candidates who happen to be incumbent legislators, these decisions are to be made also by the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress.
But surely in other parts of the world, we have seen elections that have been held during the pandemic. Notably, Singapore held an election there safely with people coming out and socially distancing and wearing masks and using sanitizer. Surely safety measures could have been in place to still hold this election on time without all these extenuating, circumstances and questions that are going to come out about because of this.
Exactly. Since schools are expected to be resumed in September when the school year begins, people believe that for a big city like China, electronic voting and so on, these things can be arranged. And in general, people are not convinced that elections cannot be held.
All right, we'll leave it there. Joseph Cheng in Sydney. Joseph, thank you.